other imperfect people who in their weakness say, God is the only one who could do it. And I embrace the I don't know. I embrace the weakness part. I embrace my mistakes. Because His grace is sufficient for us. And when we know that grace, you simply cannot exclude at the table. I can give my life to forming a community of people that heals each other through the power of God, that celebrates things like small town, that makes room for the poor. I can give my life to that. And I get a chance to. We get a chance to be part of that. Let me read, and then I'll make a few thoughts. It won't be long. I promise. Paul is writing in comparison to what the scripture calls super apostles. Well-spoken, grandiose, creators of charisma, who are kind of degrading Paul. And Paul writes back, this is what he writes, verse 5, I will boast about a man like myself, but I will not boast about my accomplishments. I will boast about my weaknesses, which is already different than what we experience. Biblical Christianity is radical. The biblical Christianity, the one expressed in the Bible, is radically different than the American Christianity most of us know. That Paul's not going to boast in his list of accomplishments. He's not going to boast in his education. He's not going to boast in what he's done. He's not going to boast in the miracles. He's not going to boast in the church planting. He's going to boast in what he hasn't done and what he cannot do. C.S. Lewis said this, and I loved it. He said, I did not go to religion to make me happy. I always knew a bottle of good port would do that. If you want a religion to make you feel really comfortable, I certainly don't recommend biblical Christianity. Or to quote another article, that the Christian faith is by in nature uncomfortable. By its nature, it's made complete like a chair. It is finished when we sit down in that chair completely in weakness, which is the opposite of what we've been raised to do. In the Christian faith, we're asked to deny ourselves, take up a cross, engage persecution, give up the creature comforts of home, forsake the priority of family, be willing at any time to give up all material possessions if asked, to be crucified essentially with Jesus, and that's just some of them. For the other page, forgive, give your cloak. That's liberty. Freedom. That's what we've been asked to do. And so many of us in our American version of Christianity want Jesus to be a chaplain. That's what we want. We want to live our life, our way, our style, doing our thing, and ask Jesus to come in and bless it. And say, go ahead, yes, good. I'm with you. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do. Good job. I'll pray with you. I'll be with you. We want Jesus to be a chaplain. The problem is that Jesus is not a chaplain. He's the Christ. Which means that biblical Christianity means you and I lay down everything. He tells you what to do with your money. He tells you what food to buy. He tells you where to work. He tells you how to live. He tells you how to do those things. It's not comfortable. It leads to a chair. My power is finished when you understand your weakness. You cannot do it. Now we're complete. When you look, another quote I love, I'll just share quickly. When you look closely at life, there really seems to be a correlation between weakness and spirituality. It seems the more vulnerable we realize that we really are, our health is vulnerable. It could go at any moment. Our relationships are vulnerable. Our jobs are vulnerable. The health of our spouse is vulnerable. The more vulnerable that we realize we really are, the more open we make ourselves to the presence of God, the deeper our faith and spirituality. On the contrary, the more we try to protect ourselves, to control our lives, and to avoid pain and weakness, the more we cut ourselves off from God. In this passage, Paul is praying. And Paul is praying, Lord, take this thing from me. Take this thing from me, this thorn in my flesh. Take this thing from me. And God says, no, I can't. Because if I take it from you, pride will grow like a weed in your heart. It will suck out the liberty, will drench it. That Paul was tempted because of these great visions to be conceited in what God is doing through him. Look at me, I'm so powerful, I'm so amazing, I'm doing miracles. And the Lord said, therefore, I can't take it from you, Paul. And the enemy, and there is an enemy, uses two things to try to destroy all of us. Pride, that you did it yourself, that you did. And despair, that God can't forgive and won't forgive. Those two are his weapons that he uses to say, to lose faith, to lose confidence, to lose these glimmers of hope, right? He says, no, I can't take it from you because you grow in it. I'm saving you, Paul. I'm saving you, Jake, from your own pride. There's a family that I think this is so, that I've become good friends with, that are a member of our church family. They wouldn't consider themselves spiritually amazing or any of the above, but they are. And they live out this verse. They decided a long time ago that God had asked them to open their heart and their home to foster care. So they're open to this beautiful young girl. And they knew when they took on that challenge that there might be intense pain involved. And they said yes anyway. And they took in this baby, 2-year-old, and it completely and utterly overwhelmed them. Tears. We don't know what to do. She had trauma in her life. She was bonding. She was not bonding. She was sleeping. She was not sleeping. She was sick. She was not sick. And they had 2, and they went from 1 kid to 2, and they were completely overwhelmed. And they literally said, as I was sitting with them one of those days, tears, we have never experienced God's grace like we have in these last few months. In their weakness, in their overwhelmedness, in their inability to do it, inability to control it, they experienced power. And God held them up. When they stopped trying to hold on to it, manufacture it, do it themselves, because they simply, literally, physically couldn't, God showed up. This beautiful girl, I sat with the same family full of tears, and the beautiful girl is going back to her mom, which is a good thing. Hopefully. Prayerfully. But for 7 months, they raised that beautiful little girl, and they took her from really suffering to being amazing. I'm sitting with them, and they're crying, and God is helping them through. And then they say, because they're beautiful people, we're going to take a month, and then we're going to do it again. I said, what? They said, yeah. I said, you guys need to tell that story. She goes, they go, why? I go, because it's amazing, and it's inspiring, and it's beautiful. They're like, what's the big deal? All we did was say yes. If you let God God, right now for all of you, is trying to move you to a place of weakness. Right now, today, He's trying to move you to a place of weakness where I don't know is the answer. How am I going to do that? I don't know. How are we going to pay for that? I don't know. How are we going to pull that off? I don't know. How are we going to handle another kid in our home? I don't know. We try to live in a land of, I know, I'm in power, I'm in charge, I'm in control, and God is saying, no, if you do that, there's no strength, there's no power. God is trying to move you to a place where you don't know the answers. I have a beautiful baby boy who's not, he's not a thorn. He's not a baby anymore either. He's beautiful and amazing and wonderful. But he forces Joan and I in our parenting over and over again to say, I don't know. How do we deal with this? I don't know. How do we deal with that? I don't know. But what it drives us to is a place where only God can show up. And His grace is sufficient for us. I'm using the phrase, and I hope you're using the phrase, I don't know a lot. We're in a whole bunch of new water as I lead personally with others as part of church life. I don't know how to do this multicultural church thing. I haven't done it before. I don't know how to do the leadership stuff that we're doing. I'm way outside of the boat. I feel that all the time. So many of you probably feel it. What are we doing? I don't know. But this verse encourages me. I hear God saying to me, Jake, my grace is sufficient for you. Power comes to its fulfillment in your weakness. Embrace it. I'm going to invite Luis back up. I want to sing one last song together. The song, the lyrics of the song are Here's My Heart. What I want us to prayerfully walk through, all of us, is to respond to what God was saying through Paul, what God was saying through us today. Respond to the call into a place where you don't know the answers, to say yes, and let God lead you to a place where you don't know the answers, to say yes to being broken, to say yes to being vulnerable, to say yes to listen to another story, to say yes to those things. Our response in the land of I don't know it is to know one thing.